Congressman Welch here with H.R. 2569. Mr. DeFazio said it had the entire delegation's support.
That's
it's
correct.
You're the only one. Of course it has its support. But
well, we do have 2 senators.
Do they count? We don't count senators. We don't count senators over here. So, please, I'd like to welcome you for 5 minutes to introduce your bill.
I think you've got a lot of supporters in that category here, but we all speak well of those we serve with. But thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I really do appreciate the committee's time and attention to this, and I really appreciate the work of the committee at recognizing national monuments and the legacy of these magnificent lands that we have throughout this great country. My request here is for the House to act on a bill that the Senate has acted on, and it did have unanimous support in the Senate, led by our 2 senators, Senator Sanders and Senator Leahy, that would designate the Upper Missisquoi and Trout rivers in northern Vermont to the National Wild and Scenic River System. 2 things. Number one, as you know, in order to get that designation, there have to be some particularly outstanding values. And let me just tell you what they are of the natural landscape. There's 35.1 miles of the Upper Missisquoi that would be designated, and there's 11 miles of its major tributary, the Trout River, that would be designated. And among the things that make these unique is that they go through unspoiled farmland. They have some of the best fishing in Vermont or New England. The Trout River is a good place to catch, as you might expect, trout. We've got what in Vermont are considered to be very large waterfalls. Now, I know I'm talking to somebody from Utah, Arizona, and California, and what you call big is different than what Mr. Holt and I call big. This is a 40-foot drop over 2 drops. But in Vermont, that's a big waterfall. And then it goes through a gorge. And again, there's gorges and gorges, but in Vermont, a 60-foot high wall of river, a gorge is pretty spectacular where I come from. And then another part of these that is quite magnificent is in the Missisquoi River up in the northern town of Montgomery that's right close to the Canadian border. There's 6 covered bridges that are still in use. That's regular everyday transportation. And there's a 7th that's being repaired, all built by the same brothers in the early 1800s, the Jewett brothers. So these are just spectacular, iconic landscapes for Vermont, gorges and falls that are very important for us to have protected. Second, and I know this is of concern to you, particularly from the western lands, Mr. Bishop, you've made this clear. These properties, these rivers, this designation are all on private property. And in order for this designation to be requested, the voters in all of the affected towns at town meeting had a discussion, had a debate, and voted in order to support the designation of the section of the river, the Missisquoi and the Trout, that went through their town. So town meeting voters, and we're going to be having another town meeting in really a couple of weeks, in towns of Berkshire, Enosburg Falls, Enosburg, Montgomery, North Troy, Richford, Troy, and Westfield, they voted by overwhelming margins to request this. So there is a local input that is the basis of Senator Leahy, Sanders, and I being here requesting congressional authorization. One town didn't vote for it, the town of Lowell. It's a 3.8-mile section. So we're not requesting a designation of that section of the Missisquoi that goes through Lowell as a result of the town vote. The legislation would provide some opportunity for Lowell to change its mind and ask to be included, but it would be upon their own decision. So we believe that with the local input in the opportunity now to work with state, federal, and local officials, this is something that's going to be of immense benefit to the people in the watershed areas of the 35 miles on the Missisquoi, the 11 miles on the Trout. We also believe that some of the concerns that have been expressed about public lands in the West are really not quite relevant to this New England situation that we're in. So this is the request of the people I represent. and we really appreciate any consideration that this committee can give us. And finally, I have some letters of support from Vermont organizations that are very much involved in this and would seek your permission to make them part of the record. Thank you.
They'll be added